Good morning and welcome to Monkhouse on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays and Fridays. We're getting very busy, which is great. Today with me, I'm lucky enough to be able to talk to Philip Moore. Philip is the Group Technical Manager for Halo Leisure. So good morning, Philip. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Good, excellent. And what are you doing, Philip, to keep yourself active and healthy during this lockdown?
Well, I would normally go for a run first thing in the morning, but I've actually taken up Joe Wicks. So
Wow,
I've got active in the mornings with him.
Brilliant. So do you do the fancy dress stuff as well on a Friday?
No, I look bad enough in a pair of shorts and a shirt already, so I don't need any fancy dress now.
Brilliant. Okay. Right. So the reason that I wanted to talk to you, Phil, was about understanding some maintenance stuff and some building stuff a little bit better. Could you sort of talk to us from a building point of view? What would you recommend during lockdown?
Okay. Lockdown was kind of sprung on us fairly quickly for leisure centres. Boris Johnson made his announcement on the 20th of March and pretty much shut us overnight. The critical things for lockdown really are, for us, was to minimise our utility costs. That was absolutely essential. Turning off things, isolating stuff, but also understanding what we were going to shut down and how we were going to shut it down was quite critical, and to what level. We took a decision that we were going to run our swimming pools on a low speed, but we're still turning them over. So we're still filtering the water, and we took steps to superchlorinate our pools. So they are effectively fit for use whenever we want to get them open again. The most critical thing with the swimming pool was to put the pool cover on as well. Absolutely essential. Get that pool cover on, stop the evaporation coming off the top of the pool. So minimising utilities, and then it was about boilers, heating plants, and hot water systems, and how we were going to close them down. We were lucky enough, most of our sites are controlled by a building management system. So a lot of the stuff we shut down, we could shut down remotely, which meant we weren't travelling anywhere. And there was a few odd sites that we had to shut down on a local basis to make sure things were off. So those are the main things. The other thing we need to really focus on during lockdown was compliance, making sure we were still compliant with things. So whether that be electrical testing, servicing of lifts, Legionella as well, depending on what you were planning to do. Legionella was a real serious consideration as to what steps we took there as well.
Okay, and Legionella for me, I guess, is one of the biggest challenges, because we're going to have a lot of standing water, we're going to have air conditioning units that aren't going to be used, etc. So have you got any advice around Legionella in particular that we should be considering?
Yeah, Legionella is a really big consideration in leisure centres. It entirely depends on what plant you've got. So some leisure centres will have copious amounts of stored cold water. They may have a hot water storage calorifier, so they're storing hot water and cold water. And some of these systems are very big systems as well, with lots of pipe work. So leisure centres also tend to be add-ons over time, so you can end up with dead legs on your system. So you've really got to consider Legionella as a real serious thing. So it depends on whether you've drained your tanks, you've drained your system. There's guidance out there from the LCA on what steps to take. Our systems are isolated, but we're looking at the risk assessments, obviously, around opening them up again. So.
Okay, and that links really nicely to, I guess, the next stage, which is really important. When we get some sort of indication that we can reopen, what are the types of things we should be doing before we allow our teams and before we allow our customers back into our buildings?
Yeah, reopening, that's a very mystical thing going on at the moment, because nobody really knows what or when. And I don't think reopening is gonna be as fast as shut down. That I'm fairly confident about. And that's good because that gives us time to plan and prepare for reopening. Legionella, again, is one of the first things we need to consider. We're dealing with potentially with our customers and our members who are of those age groups potentially that are at risk, whether they're young, whether they're slightly older. So Legionella is really the first serious concern, whether you're pasteurising your hot water systems, flushing them, checking for biofilm in your cold water storage tanks if you've got them, and obviously liaising with an expert, whether you're going to test your systems prior to opening. Obviously, there's other things, cleaning shower heads, getting them off and cleaning them whilst you're flushing the system. That can all be done at the same time so that you're not creating those aerosols that can put people at risk. Some of the other things we're considering, so if you have closed your swimming pool down entirely and turned your swimming pool pumps off and everything, then you really want to be thinking about whether those pumps are gonna run when you start them up or not. So you really should consider checking them, make sure they're not seized before you turn them on, to ensure that they rotate properly. Air handling units, checking air handling units, making sure that they're good to go. Perhaps changing the filters in them would be a good idea. Obviously servicing of your equipment, cleaning, pool sides. Well, once you've got your air handling off and you're not ventilating that pool area for a long time, you may start to see a build-up of rust on stainless steel and things like that. So you're going to have to do some cleaning in your pool areas. Backwashing is a real key thing. There's been some guidance obviously come out from QTAG. There's other guidance from Swim England and people like that. I think the thing with backwashing is take a look at your filter differential gauges and see what they're at, and then give it a backwash 2 or 3 days before you open, probably, to make sure that your filters then are settled again before the customers get back in the pool. So lots to think about. Some of the other stuff you can do whilst you're opening up, and it's an absolutely ideal time to do it, is when you're turning your pool water heating on, just check your valve, check for heat creep through your valves, because heat creep is something that you don't normally see, because perhaps your pool is up to temperature, it stays around 29 degrees. You may not see heat creep. You will see it now, because your heating valves will go full open and full closed, and now's the time to see whether they allow heat through whilst they're fully closed, because heat creep can cost you a lot of money. So.
Okay, that's interesting. So how would I recognise heat creep then?
So if your valve for your heating on your pool water is at a closed position, and you've just fired your boilers up, so your boiler system is hot, and you're getting heat going down the pipework to your clarifier for your pool, that is heat creep. And you wouldn't normally see that because with the system hot, you won't notice it, but now is an ideal time to check for heat creep.
Okay, that's really useful, because I think we spoke to Phil Aitken about base loading and understanding what our buildings are doing when we're not using them, and I think that tip that you've given, I think, is really useful. It makes us think about actually how do we drive down costs, really understand what our buildings are consuming. So I think it's a really
because heat creep is something that just trickles heat into an air handling unit or into a pool, and most of this plant and equipment is on 24/7. So you may not notice it.
No, that's really useful. So we've done some maintenance stuff, and one of the reasons you and I are talking, Phil, is also you are the CEO of a small national governing body. You work with Tchoukball across the country. So just tell me, what is Tchoukball? Let's enthuse and educate people, but also, what's it been like working in a small governing body during close down?
Okay, so Tchoukball, that is a non-contact handball type sport played by boys, girls, men, women, same court, same time.
Right.
So for boys and girls, they can learn a fast-paced, non-contact, non-aggressive sport, and really achieve really quickly at it. So so it's a great sport. I've been involved since the early 1990s, and now I sit as a volunteer running the NGB.
Right.
Not much change for us as a small NGB, because we already run sort of in the virtual world. So a lot of my other staff are also volunteers, and they're dotted around the country. So we're already used to virtual meetings and stuff. So not much change for us on that front. COVID-19 has been devastating for our sport, though. It's called a halt to all of our European events that were going on. So we had players which were going across to Italy, Poland, and we had a really big event that we were planning in Leeds in August, which is our European Championships, which happens every 2 years. And we managed to secure the organisation of that from the International Federation. So that's all been cancelled. And that was quite challenging. We were cancelling those events sort of early March, really, and it was a really early time to be trying to understand how this pandemic was gonna carry on. So so that's had quite an impact. It's had quite an impact on our junior UK squad sections as well, because this was going to be their time when they were going to really sort of step up to the plate. They were going to be playing other countries, Hungary and all sorts of things. So for juniors, it was going to be a fantastic time for them to really excel at their sport in front of others and in their home country as well. So that's been a real problem. I'm happy to say that it's been delayed. Hopefully we're going to organise it in 2021.
Right.
And that's really positive. Gives us a bit more time to organise it as well, a bit more time to get more people involved in it. So that's good. And I think we're just really keen to get our players back on court, grow the membership, hopefully through Joe Wicks and others that have got people active over this time. Hopefully we'll see some more people involved in the sport as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really missing my hockey and my squash, I have to say. I have the absolute pleasure of playing badges hockey, which means I can play at the same time as my 13-year-old daughter on the same pitch. And that whole piece around seeing the young people develop is just lovely. And it must be really quite difficult for you guys not to have that pinnacle event, effectively, as you've described it. So
it's terrible, really, but this is what we are, and quite how this is going to affect team sports going forwards. I don't think we're still really sure about that. Obviously, there's help coming in from the Sport Rec Alliance and others for us as a small NGB, but it's certainly an uncharted landscape at the moment. So we're not entirely sure quite when we're going to get back to playing, but hopefully it will be September.
Absolutely. And I guess with all the digital communication that we're putting out there, the keeping in touch with people, we can only hope they all come back, but also talk about it and share it. And on that note, a positive note, Phil, thank you so much for your time. That has been really, really useful. That whole piece around the maintenance of the building, I'm sure viewers will get benefit from. So thank you so much for your time, Phil. Take care. See you again.
Great. Thank you very much.